Big Burb, Big Bad Burb.
Welcome to the Big Burb channel. Big day at the shop today. It's what you all been waiting for, the startup. Before we start this up, I want to show you inside the cab real quick what we did. As you can see right here, we have these two levers, right? This is the fuel solenoid shut off. So in, out, right? So out releases the fuel and let the fuel come out manually. This right here is our valve that releases the air from the air tanks. I'm going to try to get as close as I can right here. As you can see, we made this custom bracket, and when you see that bracket and this wire that goes all the way back, that goes to that push and pull valve that I showed you. So that eliminates the fuel solenoid. There's no electricity at all that controls this engine as far as getting the fuel in and out of it. It's all manual now. If you're familiar with the 12 valve Cummins, that fuel solenoid fails very often, and it's probably important that we eliminate it, especially if we don't want any electricity to run this motor. Another thing in the cab I want to show you is right here is our air gauge. As you can see, we're running 150 psi on our tanks right now. And now we're going to go ahead and disconnect the batteries and get this thing going. So the real cool part right now, like I said, we just disconnected the batteries. I'll show you. Negative off on the first battery. And as we come around, you will see the negatives off on the second battery. So there is no power at all to this engine, and we're going to start it without any power at all. Well, air power, no electricity power. The Big Burb's alive! The Big Burb's alive! Woo! You said I couldn't make an EMP proof, huh? Listen to that baby purr. And if that doesn't make you excited, I don't know what will. So now all we're doing is button up. Right now we got the fan shroud on the radiator so we don't cut our fingers off. A couple of bit of wiring for the headlights, some accessories, but that's all it is, accessories, and that's the only reason why we have the alternator is to power up those compressors and fill that air tank. And worst case scenario, if that air tank is dead and those compressors are dead, we can go ahead and use our hand pump. So I want to give a big thanks out to Cardinal Valley for getting the air starter back. So the solution was we had to send the air starter back with the electric starter. They took the electric starter pinion and switched it to the air starter. And so now we have the electric starter pinion on the air starter. So now that's actually engaging the flex plate and making this motor turn. So problem solved. However, if you want the air starter, or this air starter, you're going to have to get an electric starter as a donor to get this thing to spin over. However, it's not the worst case scenario, and it works. Another thing we're doing too, for wrap up, is the column shift on the Chevy is a push and the Dodge is a pull. So we had to go ahead and get a shift linkage and get that all buttoned up as well. I'll show you some photos on the screen here, so because right now my leg's a little busted up. I can show you that if you want, but it's not that interesting. So I can't really crawl underneath the truck at this moment. Actually going to surgery next Tuesday, so wish me luck. But yeah, so as I was saying, the link shift, we had to get a link shift cable and run that back to the transmission and loop it around and bring it back so we can get the Chevy pushed to become a pull from that Dodge transmission. Let's come around the back here. So as you can see, we sourced a new truck bumper, and we're going to get this thing fabbed up on the back right here. And as we do that, we're going to do a little airline for our air tools and get it right there and get that thing all cleaned up. So next time you see this thing, it'll be running around with a fancy new bumper, and I'll be driving it. Well, I'll be driving it after my surgery, so be patient with us, guys. We're almost there, and on the next episode, you'll see us driving around. Maybe I can get Ben in the shop next time, or at least in the big Burb.
That explains!
This was what it was all about. Not just getting an older vehicle that didn't rely so much on electricity and several critical components, but to be able to start it without the battery. While it is true that the grids and networks would go down before cars do, a super flare might just take out all electrical devices, and the solar micronova certainly will. We just showed how even an EMP that destroys the batteries won't stop us from starting this engine. And we even have a manual backup for refilling the air tanks. I can't stress enough how important this is. Now, while it would be best to see the solar flare coming and then get to your bug out location right away, life is life, and there's no guarantee it won't come faster and harder than expected. Whether it's prepping to have lots of extra food and water, prepping to protect your family, having seeds and tools, or needing to get out of a populated area, this will be one of the key separators of who survives what's coming and who doesn't. Yes, luck will play a role to some degree, but beyond that, imagine that luck, fate, or God favors you, and you're not prepared to take advantage of that gift. We should all give major respect to Rocky for pulling this off, with delays and setbacks and a leg that clearly hates him. So, what are you doing to get ready for what's coming? On March 11th, the sun released a solar flare that would have put Earth at major electrical risk. Luckily, it was not aimed at Earth, but the next one might be. Will you be ready?
Vroom, vroom. You guys ready?